honestly debated posting this because I understand this is a very sensitive topic right now for a lot of different people, but I feel like I've made my platform on here being very genuine, and it would be disingenuous of me not to talk about this and ask questions, but I would like to talk about the DC plane crash. Washington, D.C. and that airport has the most secured airspace in our nation. Blackhawks are the most advanced military helicopters in the world. They are equipped with top-of-the-line equipment from everything from GPS, inertial navigation systems, comms, everything, top of the line. If you've seen any of the videos at all, you know it was direct. They received comms from air traffic control about the plane. 811 Lawton Street, go look up that address. January 1st, New Year's Eve night, Bourbon Street, Army veteran. Las Vegas, Trump Tower, current Army service member, Green Beret. Army helicopter. The flight path is hectic. They circled for hours. I personally believe these questions should be asked and this should be discussed because those 67 people that perished, their families deserve answers. And as a military family member myself, I understand how people could say insinuating such a thing would be very hurtful to those service members' families. But I personally believe assuming human error for these people that are the highest trained in their field, that have dedicated their entire life and have so many credentials and qualifications, assuming that it was simply human error is more insulting.
Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali, the more I put this off because there's so much to it, the less I am prone to just get started and get it done. It's not that I don't want to share the topic. Oh my goodness, I can't stop myself from sharing the topic. It's just a very intricate and detailed just documentation that needs to be screamed about, because these entities are, you know, they're always manipulating their controlled media to defame Black you and me, to justify genociding us using various methods, but primary in all of those methods is man-made radiation. And a great substantial amount of it is coming through Fukushima, through the CMOS, through the rice that's being donated to African and Caribbean nations. And you can kind of confirm that real easily by just seeing how they don't talk about man-made radiation at all, even though there's so much documentation. It astounds the mind. Anybody who would make an earnest investigatory attempt to find out, I ain't kidding you. I've never been kidding you. And so I'm here to discuss what I just played a clip of, which is a young lady who I don't know her name, but I thank her for sharing what she did. I'm pro-Black. I am not anti-everybody else. It seems that's a key feature of pro-whiteism, is to then figure the only way that that's possible is if you kill everybody else off. That's where they've given the word racism, which when you think about it, because it's so attached to them, it's a horrible word. But when you think about protecting your own unique, just existence as a member of a group, and thereby you realize you have to protect that group. If you and your whole tribe of people are sane, you don't think that that means go out and kill somebody else. And so I can thank helpful white people. I don't get it twisted now. I know that they just have a reflex action because they know the pay is coming, the debt is due for the historical wrongs that they've committed, and that they have a reflex that I theorize is just pathological, because they've been this way since time immemorial, where if the chances of Black you and me being free freaks them out, even though pink on pink love, baby, go do you. I ain't mad at you for loving being who you are, being all nutty about blue eyes and all the rest of it. I'm not, right? But that doesn't mean I can't thank helpful white people. And that young lady, whatever her name is, because I was just investigating the facts about this and not the personalities, unless I already knew you. Yeah, I don't mind thanking someone for providing helpful information and stating the truth. Those families do deserve to know. So we also, along with those families, and my condolences to everyone who lost a family member in that horrific crash. We, black people, we deserve to know so we can protect ourselves from what seems to be just plain old predator mimics. If you're not a predator mimic, you don't support the ways of predator mimics, then welcome to humanity. I don't mean you. But the question always remains, which principality do your actions support? So I didn't fully understand just how obvious this setup is. With Trump, I'm not gonna look for the article, but he came out and he blamed DEI immediately for the collision that happened at a DC airport. What was it? I don't remember what the airport is or whatever. I'm just saying. Um, Donald Trump came out immediately and blamed DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm like, what happened to affirmative action? But that's the whole thing is that they're just putting all the worst things they've created that come from them in with black you and me so that they can defame us, demoralize us, and incite rioting from their white brethren. And so this is what made me say, okay, because I knew when I was looking at that, I felt horrible, but I know it's not the Wigner effect, or it wasn't the Wigner effect, but when I saw this, I said, there it goes, because I knew there was a backstory. I knew it wasn't some DEI program. I've done so many shares where I've gone over how they don't even like Boeing. They tried to say, Boeing's got that DEI going on. And Boeing, when you looked up the stats, they have like a minuscule amount of not just black people, but all non-white male employees make up 7% of their airport maintenance staff. And of that, of that whole 7%, it's like 3% of that is black people. Right? And so they were trying to make this big hoopla about how, oh no, it's DEI. I said, you know what? They're dang nammit trying to blame the entire Wigner effect on black you and me. I would have called this share the Nigner effect, which is what they want. But Dr. She said not too many people gonna understand what you mean. So I was like, okay, I won't say that. And so when I saw this Professor Fuels conspiracy theories, when I hear somebody say conspiracy theories as if it's something serious, I'm just like, you haven't done any real research whatsoever. You don't know what you're talking about, because that makes no sense. If you have a certain amount of cash, having a budget is a conspiracy theory. You're conspiring to not overspend the amount of money that you make. When you own resources that are continental wide, continent to continent, your budget is a little bit on the bigger side. And then you could sit back and say, maybe we could buy the whole planet. And you'll even erect monuments stating that's our budget. Okay? And you develop terms like conspiracy theories. I'm not saying they'll create crap like flat earth theory. No such thing. Okay? They'll create crap and then have different agents and operatives going back and forth as if it's a real discussion. And it's not. It's controlled opposition. It's to get you thinking that there's some, oh, look over here, distraction. Okay, so when I see that, I know that's what the CIA, a term the CIA developed. Professor fuels conspiracy theories after blaming Trump for future plane crashes just hours before DC tragedy. They know about the Wigner effect. This ain't no big deal. I don't need to flatter myself at all because it's all about the science. It's not about me. But I've been talking about these plane crashes forever. And even in Daily Mail, they had an article where they were saying, oh, there's only been 2 crashes, even though they said, oh, yeah, why rich and famous who take private jets are at far higher risk of dying in fireball crash. This is something I talked about where I said the private planes have a different standard of maintenance than public, commercial airlines, a far higher standard. So they're going to check for what Dr. Lauren Murray, who's a nuclear, she works in nuclear, she has a PhD in it, called interstitial vacancies. That's where the atomic particle, and they are particles, they're actual dimensional things that are just so tiny you have no hope of seeing them, and they get into the material, like whatever little gaps there are, and they'll cause more gaps, interstitial vacancies, and van der Waal forces. That's what they'll just rip stuff apart. And so that's what's 85% of all the radiation from all sources, man-made sources, is in the atmosphere. And so that's what's happening with all these planes. And the private planes, they're not going to check like the commercial airplanes do because they don't have the money. These private owners, they don't have the time. And they're just going to have their little putt-putt plane sitting in a hangar on some private airplane, facility. And then once a year, they might want to go somewhere and they'll take it out and boom, they're gone. So I don't know if it was in this article or it was in another one where they said, oh, but, it's only 2 planes that have crashed, 2 private planes that have crashed in the last year. All right? Let's take a look. This is a listing of my bookmarks because I collected all as much as I can. And so this file is called Crash. And this is the first one, Bird Strike, where because I know at a certain point in time, they're going to have to try to explain all that stuff away. And they're probably going to blame it like with the South Korean crash on birds. And no, that wasn't the case at all. And this one irradiated out of minds because as you're flying in these planes, the radiation is in the cabin. It's getting into your brain and it makes you act as if you are drunk and you're going to see stuff and say all kinds of crazy things. So there's a whole bunch of irradiated out of their minds. Oh, wait, no. Oh, I skipped the part where this is the plane crashes. All the dead. My condolences, okay? But this little part here is irradiated out of minds, where there's a jump right here, then it goes to the plane crashes. Now, some of these are crashes that happen all over the world. But when you just look through, an overwhelming number are plane crashes that happen in the United States. And this is just starting from November of 2023. So this is pretty much just a little over a year-long list. Every single link here leads to someone who died. Let's see now. 3 confirmed dead. A National Guard helicopter crash near southern border in Texas. Chopper was on federal orders carrying 3 soldiers and 1. A lot of airplane crashes because they got tight budgets, even though they use the rest for whatever the hell kind of freaky stuff they do. I'm not accusing general soldiers of necessarily being all into that, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the armed forces that explains why they didn't mind all that, wokery mess infesting them. It's already there. All right. But yeah, there's an awful lot of plane crashes that happen just in the United States. And as I said, this is just a little over a year. So for them to say, oh no, but there's just 2 crashes, that's just an out and out lie. So for Trump to blame the FAA, it is just it's too funny, because the setup didn't happen overnight. They didn't just look at the South Korean flight, just where it slammed in a wall and just exploded and killed just about everybody. 178 people, I think 2 people survived. They didn't just look at that and say, okay, let's come up with something real quick. They've been slowly planning this, as with blaming, black people on Boeing, like Zero Hedge. They did a meme that went everywhere, where they showed 2 sisters overweight, and the one who was more sassy was the one who, there's little things that white people just, I think they, like I said, pathologically, they'll just do it automatically because that's their favorite way of seeing us. They're not going to do any, wow, I really want to find out about what black people are all about. And then they find out that we're wonderful people. No, that's not what they want to know. They have fear of impending damnation. They want to know everything horrible about us to keep them going, so they have no white guilt for what they're doing right now. And so, in order to keep this thing going, CIA operative reveals mental disorder agency actively seeks to hire because it makes her better spies. I'm showcasing this because in Daily Mail, they've been normalizing really extreme, dangerous mental disorders, sociopathy and psychopathy. They've been saying, oh, if you got this problem, oh, so do I. I'm sorry, no. I've never met anybody with problems such as that whatsoever. And when I meet people like that, I push them out of my life immediately. I just have a repulsion because I'll just notice that they have no regard for what other people are feeling. And that's a dangerous person. Everything's about them. And pathologically, predator mimics. I would imagine that's the same mindset when the predator mimic human comes at a whole group of folks and just think, genocide. That sounds like a good idea. When you are rooting for your child to win a relay race or any kind of race or any kind of competition, you don't kill his or her fellow competitors, and that's a good thing. Okay? That's what they can't just come out and admit, well, okay, we want to do this. Which reminds me, this is Kevin Blanch's video scroll here, and I have watched this one right here. And he's another white dude. I don't want him to mention me, okay? And because I don't need white people approval at all. But I'm going to acknowledge, if I get some information from you, I'm like, okay. And so he had mentioned, because white people will go and talk to white people, and that's the way it's supposed to be, right? That he has a friend who is a scientist. It's a she, I got from what he was saying. And she acknowledged, she knows that this is about Fukushima. And he asked her, well, why aren't you saying anything? And she says, no, you don't get it. If we were to confess this, it would be all over for us. Now, Kevin didn't say all over for white people, but that's the inference, or just that was what was implied in what he was saying and the way he was describing what she said to him. Right? And so I thank him for saying that, because I just am like, how could you be doing this stuff? How could you be doing this? Where it was never the amount of crashes, according to another white person, Christina Consola. I'm so grateful to her. So grateful for Lauren Murray. I'm so grateful for Ernest Oh goodness, oh, it's been so long since I've talked about him. Let me look at his book. Secret Fallout. Ernest Sternglass. You see, I actually read the daggone things. And he shared that they ship radioactive milk directly to the black community. And he said there were also Latinos in there, but I've lived in black communities all my life. If there are any Latino people moving in, it's because the rent is super cheap and they're leaving as quickly as possible. So that was targeted at Black you and me. And so I thank Christina for sharing the data about the Wigner effect early on. And I hope she's doing well. She has a neurological condition that has impacted her greatly. And usually those types of conditions are degenerative. She was tour de force in describing the details of the Wigner effect. So these accidents are off the scale as of right now. And then oh my goodness, the deaths, I don't even know where the impact, the consequences of radiation are. This is it. This is all their young deaths. It's not us. I separate us out even in collecting obituaries. But this, I mean, talk about how long this list is. This is all, I want to just get to the top of it. And I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get to the top of it because there's so many. Let me just go on over here and scroll up. There we go. Their young deaths, radiation files. It's incredible. And I don't know anything about this particular individual, but there was a rap producer. Let's see, that's the crashes. What is irradiated out? Oh, these are the crashes. There, our young deaths. I'll shade all these people who passed, but there it goes right there. Irv Gotti is gone, and he just died at the age of 54. So I don't know anything about this gentleman, this brother. I don't know if he was married to a sister. That to me says you want to maintain your brotherhood. Other than that, you working for the enemy. I'm just saying, it is what it is. I don't care what sex black person you are. You're only black like, okay, if you're gonna be with the enemy. And so he had suffered a stroke, something radiation causes, because it destroys your biological matter. If it's going to destroy an airplane fuselage, trust me, your, biological cells and all the rest of it ain't nothing to that. And so he suffered the consequences and he finally passed away. So I'm just saying, these lists are long. These lists go on. I mean, that's why I would be here forever. And I could literally be here forever. I could talk about each and every single one of these issues. So going back to that whole CIA was hiring, where is it, up here, right there? Yeah. They hire people with mental disorders, and here they even call it a superpower. Let's go on over to what the FAA was hiring, which is Diversity Campaign aims to hire employees with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. And this was back in January 15 of 2024, because they would know about the Wigner effect and they would know, this ain't going away. And then lo and behold, with this crash, suddenly Daily Mail is going on with, they're so pro-Trump, it's crazy. But FAA turned away 1,000 job applicants because of its DEI rules despite staff shortages, lawsuits claim. Which ones were they turning away? The sane ones? Right? In favor of what? Black people? Or in favor of severely intellectually challenged and psychiatrically broken individuals? And so this is the AI thing that I got off of Zero Hedge, where they were talking about the incident. And immediately, there we are, front and center. That's what I said about the whole wokery agenda. This is coming from the corporations. This is not coming from us. But they don't mind because they own all the media, and all they need is a couple white people pissed off to the nines. That's what critical race theory was developed for. And it was developed by two white Harvard professors to accomplish what it did. And they just call out all their operatives, all their agents who are selected because they don't give a damn about anything but themselves. Right? And they start pushing it so it can look like it's black. It's the real black us. But all these people are also college professors. And they're pushing all the BLM nonsense all over the place. It was like I saw banners out in my own community pushing BLM. And that was funded by George Soros. Okay? And so this is the end of them. But not if we stay silent. Not if I have to keep thanking a whole bunch of white people who I sincerely mean my thank you. But at the same time, I'd much rather go to you for all that information. I really would. I know I'm, a pioneering investigator of all things nuclear. And we needed that because this was a vastly ignored, overlooked aspect of their genocide, their favorite portion of genocide, because you can't taste it, you can't feel it, you don't know, and it's in your food, and you're inhaling it in the air. And I'm not saying that those things are not disturbing, but really, when have we ever been punks? We are the only people on this planet who fought so vigorously, we freed ourselves. We just haven't freed ourselves from believing these dudes, right? And so there's so much. There's so many things dying. They got, sharks now, great white sharks in the Atlantic Ocean, washing up, dead. And I'm like, what, do you think radiation stays in one place? No, it doesn't. And the scientists are mystified, baffled, confused. No, they're scared to death that we're going to be able to figure out and realize that it shouldn't just be me saying this. Though, as I say, I'm okay. I'm not here to harangue anybody. But at the same time, don't you want to win? We already have. And so, rather than like what the young lady at the beginning said about how the Black Hawk helicopter is state of art on the whole world. It really is. For it to suddenly, and they showed a map, I don't have it right now, where it literally did an L, just like with the Kobe assassination. Suddenly it just veered off from its regular trajectory straight into the jet. For that to happen, it's not likely, it's not plausible, and it veers off from all their plans completely to genocide us. But they want, I'm sure, to blame DEI and Black us, because here's this employee, Mohammed Bengi. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, brother. I don't mean that. But he and this person who we don't know who Jonathan Savoy is, I make a speculation that he's a white man. I don't know. I'm just saying you can't find his picture anywhere. All you see is Mohammed. All right? But the two of them stole footage, a video of a close-up of what really happened. And that's when you could clearly see that the Black Hawk plane veered directly into the jet. And there was this command that they put out there called PAT 25, which is a priority air transport 25. That means it takes preference, it takes over any other command there is, because they say that the FAA, the air controllers, told them to do something else or whatever at the last minute, kind of in a lame way. And it didn't work out, obviously. All right. Well, this is also one of the things they said. But going back to Brother Muhammad, who released this video to CNN, and they were arrested for it. They were arrested for it. Whereas it shows clearly, definitively that, yo, this isn't what they're saying. And it wasn't the FAA's fault. But they need that in order to continue the speculation, continue the defaming, not even speculation, it's just defaming us. So it looks like all these planes crashing, oh, it must be that DEI. It must be that, those black folks, ooh, planes and crap, right? And so at Boeing, they hired this Indian woman. Oh boy, here come the Indians. It's crazy, okay? They hired this Indian woman to come in and diversify it because, and I don't know, I can't say because, but right after I had highlighted that Boeing has no black people up in there, okay? Suddenly they had to hire this Indian woman to help diversify, just like they're doing with the nuclear power plants. They're like, oh, we got to diversify it. So what are they hiring? They're hiring a bunch of woke people, homosexuals, trans, sutured up folks. That's what they're hiring because that pisses white people off. And they automatically now equate it because it's just like their neuropathology is just a little sketchy in my conclusion. So that they'll just make these broad generalizations without needing to go do any further research because they prefer to see us in a negative light. Where, oh, if I see a homosexual, even if it's a screaming white person, I'm thinking black people, right? That's what they got Kanye, Procyon Lothar, up there with Bianca, who's his handler, not the other way around. But if you see an article and they have a comment section, the white people are just like, oh, he's commanding her to do this because they want to make it seem as if the black man is the devil. And the deeds do not prove that in the slightest. The U.S. military after World War II learned an awful lot from the Japanese on how to conduct just ghoulish types of combat and torture. There was, I think it was Unit 5 something. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but a Japanese torture establishment where they conducted such horrifying experiments that were more precise than anything that Joseph Mengele managed to do. And so I'm thinking kamikaze pilots, kamikaze military, where they are like Kanye even, just MK'd out of their minds. It's not just beta sex kittens that we have to deal with out here, or just these friggin' non-stop operatives. Why wouldn't they be also making these mentally fractured soldiers who are given a hypnotic, Manchurian Candidate, a hypnotic command, and it doesn't even have to be hypnotic. If you have a child raised in a cult from birth, it's like almost impossible for that child to step away from their programming. And you've got Americans out here who, they don't want the truth anymore. They just want what's going to make them feel like it's okay not to feel white guilt and to keep doing the wrong thing, isn't it? So that's what, in my firm conclusion, we are looking at here. That just like the young lady at the very outset said, these just assaults happening. I talked about the Rothschild being murdered, assassinated in the fire, and it was going bananas because there was somebody buying a $3 million banana, some crazy thing, and just ate it. That's all instructions on what they need to do in order to hide the horror of Fukushima fallout. Go on over to 25,000yearcycle.org, and I want to thank, oh my goodness, Brother K, who you sent me a donation right on over to $Radical Sister with Cash App. And Brother Adam, I know Brother Adam, you always there for us, so you are going to, you don't worry. I try to protect everybody else. I'm not calling you, anything whatsoever. It's just that for some reason, ain't any other black people out here who have the nerve to do any research and speak about man-made radiation and put all these aspects together. So I thank you, Brother Adam. I thank you, Sister Kay. Oh my goodness, you put in, Sister, she bought all the books, every single book. She bought soap. She bought the silk hair cream, and she bought a Fukushima t-shirt. Wow. So yeah, you keep me going. It should be absolutely self-evident that we need somebody dedicated to doing this research. I'm not going to stop, but it's because of good people like that I've been able to say, well, I'm having a good effect. And that makes me keep going. Otherwise, I'd be like, you can't save people who don't want to be saved. Right? But I thank you for being here. And continue to share, continue to support what we do. I also want to just highlight the live that Dr. She did with me, and I listened to the whole thing over again. I was like, whoa, that is a slammingly excellent broadcast. So I'm going to put it in, I don't know, I guess it'll be over here. Yeah, over there. So you could click right on that and give it a listen. It's once you know that freedom, that liberation, that self-determination is in your hands, and how it's just natural. It's natural. You're never going back. You are not going to be dragged down by these people trying to just lump us all together with a whole bunch of nonsense that is only of their doing. All right? All right. Straight Black Pride is our ownership papers to forever. And with beautiful black you and me, that's the place we want to be. Mwah. Love you. Peace and blessings.